Here we go. Okay. So this is literally basic endgame knowledge. Okay, so I'm going to it'll grow quite quickly. Okay, so just bear with me if you don't know anything about endgames. Then just listen up here. Okay, because this is the staple food of endgames, and it grows really quickly. You know, we're going to be going through these positions very quickly. I have no idea why you can't read chat, Dre. Maybe just refresh your page. Are you on Lead Chess or on Twitch? No, you're obviously on Twitch because you're a Twitch Prime member. So just refresh the page, Dre. Okay. No. David, it's not about winning or losing here. I just want to explain a concept. Okay, so first of all, the first thing that I want to explain from endgames is opposition. Why is this not working? There we go. Okay, so the point of opposition, first of all, you can see that, you know, we have this king standing across from the other king. Okay. A point of opposition anywhere, for that matter, then you can pass on to one of the green squares. Okay, so if he goes side, you know, if he goes here, why is it him to move? Okay, well, whatever, whoever is to move, right? Oh, it's just a draw. I guess I can't even move the pieces. That's quite funny. So if the king goes here, I can go here. You know, if the king goes here, why is this so slow? Let me just refresh quickly. I'll be right back. I just want to refresh the Lead Chess thing. So yeah, so here, then you would be able to go here, right? So that's just the idea of opposition. This is what opposition looks like. A king standing with one square across from another king. Okay, but there are different types of opposition. Okay, this was opposition number 1. So this is just normal opposition. Okay, the second, yeah, so it is lagging. Is it lagging badly? I thought so because it seemed like it was lagging. Should be okay now, I think. Is it okay? Hello? It's weird because... Is it still lagging now? Just let me know if it's still lagging now. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it was just like a bit of a, like, it was confused maybe a bit. So it was like, hey, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Okay, so that was the first opposition. This is called side opposition, where we're obviously fighting for these squares. Okay? So again... Yeah, exactly, white dancing, but of course it depends on how important it is. If you have a pawn pushing here, right, then you can just support the pawn with your king. Okay, so this is just side opposition. So that would be normal opposition. This is just side opposition where we would be fighting for these 3 squares. Okay. Now if we go to position number 3, we have diagonal opposition. Okay. You see now that we're also fighting for a bunch of squares here. So if black goes here, we would get into normal opposition. Then if black goes here, we'd be able to pass. Okay. If black goes here, we can just shove up this way. And then we get into side opposition. So it's just the different types of oppositions that you have and how they intertwine with each other. Okay. The next one is called distant opposition. Okay. This one has 3 squares in between, but these are still the squares we're fighting for. So if the king comes forward, we get normal opposition. If the king goes here, we get normal opposition. If the king goes here, we get normal opposition. King goes here, okay, then we can just play here, because now he's going to be forced to either give us one type of opposition. If he goes here, we'd be able to just go forward and we, you know, just controlling the squares. If he goes here, we'd be able to take the opposition again, normal. You know, if he goes obviously backwards, we'd be able to just go continuously going forward. Okay. So distant opposition is just a way that we will get into either diagonal, side, or normal opposition. Okay. Then the trickiest one is called virtual opposition. Okay, virtual opposition is basically distant opposition plus a diagonal opposition. And again, they all lead to a different type of opposition. If you go here, I go here, I have diagonal opposition. You go here, you go here, I go here, I have normal opposition. You go here, I go here, I have distant opposition. So it's just how they get into the different types of opposition. So why is this important? Okay, now we finally get to where it starts getting important. We end up with a king and pawn versus a king. And this is where opposition becomes an extremely important thing. Yeah, David, that's a very good idea. Of course, learn from the endgames and work your way back. It's probably the much better idea. Okay, so there's 3 things you need to know about trying to win with a king and pawn versus a king. The first thing is that you need to have your king in front of the pawn. Step 1, very important, king in front of the pawn. Look where the king is, going that way, pawn's going that way. Okay, king is in front of the pawn. Step 2, you try and get opposition. Okay, almost any opposition is fine. Okay, so we have opposition currently. If it's black to play, okay, then we can pass. So we're fighting for these squares right now. Okay, so again, you can see we have normal opposition here and our king is in front of the pawn. Okay, so first rule, get your king in front of the pawn. Second rule, get opposition. Most of the oppositions will work. Virtual, distant, diagonal, side, and normal. Okay, then the third thing that you want is you want to get your king to the 6th rank. Boom. Okay, if you were black, of course, you'd want to get your king to the 3rd rank if we just flip the board around. Simple as that. Okay, so those are the 3 things. King in front of the pawn, get opposition, get your king to the 6th rank. Okay, you only need 2 of these principles in order to actually win the game. Okay, so here we have our king on the 6th rank. We have our king in front of the pawn. And we also have opposition. Okay, so black to play. We just push past. And now, of course, the king supports the pawn all the way down. Simple. Okay, now we just queen and it's very easy. Okay, so, and if he goes the other way, we just go this way. So that's why it was very important to fight for these specific key squares. We call them key squares. Okay, when the 2 kings are fighting for squares so that he can pass and help his pawn up the board. So these would be called the key squares. Okay, now what I'm going to show you is if we change it to white having to move. Okay, now it's white to play. Now we have our king in the 6th rank. We have the king in front of the pawn, but we do not have opposition because it's white to play. So now if white plays, he's going to keep the opposition. Okay? I'm glad if you enjoy it biological. Okay? It's very basic at the beginning, I promise you, but we will increase the pace very quickly. Okay? Yes, exactly. So if your king is already on the 6th rank and in front of the pawn, then it doesn't matter who's to win. It doesn't matter if you have opposition or not. It's still a win. And here's why. If I go king d6 and he takes the opposition, I push the pawn, the king now has to go here, and I cannot go opposition, but I can push the pawn now, which now defends these squares, and the king defends this square. Okay. Now if the king goes here, we can pass. And of course, we just promote the pawn. Okay, we could do it the other way around as well. It's perfectly fine. Put the king on f6, same idea. King goes here, push, king, push. Yes, exactly. The 6th rank is a big key factor. So that's why I say you need 2 out of the 3 principles to be able to make this work. Okay. Perfect. So this is now just a win for white, of course. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the next puzzle. Okay. The next one, we're going to use the exact same example, but here you'll note that the king is not on the 6th rank yet. Makes it huge difference. Okay. Now if it's black to play here, white still wins. Why? Because he has 2 rules. He has his king in front of the pawn, and he has opposition. If it is black to play, of course. Okay? Dre, we will get there. We'll get there. We will get there, I promise. This is why I'm slowly taking every different position and showing you every one of them. Again, for those of you, if you haven't followed the channel yet, please do. If you don't know how and you're watching from Lead Chess, just click on the little text at the bottom of the video saying follow Chess Doctors on Twitch. If you don't have a Twitch account, just create one. It's very quick. There's a lot more cool things you can get on Twitch anyway. Okay. So we have 2 here. Now, of course, if black moves, okay, again, we're fighting for these squares, right? Sorry, let me just get them the right color. So these are the key squares. If black moves, we pass. If black goes here, we just take the opposition. Black moves, let's say here, we go here again. And now, of course, this pawn is just a runner. Okay, here, here, and of course, there's no way to stop this pawn from going there. Okay, now we go back. We can obviously do it the other way as well. So if black tried to play, let's say, this way, we would do the same thing. We just pass. If the king tries to go here as well, same thing. We still play here, and we have the cover for this pony to go up the board. Okay. Not too hard. Okay. So because we have 2 of the 3 rules, we can still win. But what happens if it was black to play here? Now we're going to put the position up again. But now it's, white to play, sorry. Now it's white to move. Now white only has his king in front of the pawn. Doesn't have the king of the 6th rank, and he doesn't have opposition. Because it is not black to move, it's white to move. So black has the opposition here. Now if white plays here, black keeps the opposition. So we keep the squares, we keep the king out. Okay. Now if you push the pawn, there's a big difference here. He goes in front of the pawn, you cannot take the opposition anymore. Now you have the big issue that your king is not in front of the pawn anymore. You can never ever win unless your king is in front of the pawn. Never. This is just a fact. You're never going to win unless the king is in front of the pawn. Okay? Unless the king is on the 6th rank, of course, where you would be able to play this move, right? If the pawn was here already and the king was here. But now he just stays in front of the pawn. Because you cannot take opposition. Now if you go forward, he takes opposition. And now if you push, it's a draw. Okay? If you don't push, you go backwards, he just stays in front of the pawn. Taking opposition, boom. And he stays on this square where you cannot take opposition to obviously get his king to move away from defending these squares. So your king can never help now to get to any of the key squares. Thank you, Holy Roman Empire. Thanks for the follow, Holy. Okay, so now we go back. And we look at what's going on here again. Okay, let's go all the way back here. So again, if the king goes this way, he just keeps the opposition. And as soon as the pawn is next to the king, you can just stay in front of the pawn. So you stay on these 2 squares here for black, and white can now never get the opposition or his king in front of the pawn anymore. Yes, Turkey Farm, that is exactly correct. Okay. Of course, if your king is already on the 6th rank, then it doesn't matter either, right? Because as long as your king still needs to be in front of the pawn. Okay, so that is exactly correct, Turkey Farm. You need to have your king in front of the pawn if you're going to win this. Yeah, I actually won one of my games in the thingamajiggy, in the marathon. I won one of my games like this as well, where my king wasn't in front of the pawn anymore, but I basically, because of flagging, I put him into big trouble, and he then blundered, and I won this game. Okay, thanks for the follow there, Edman. Welcome to the show. If you guys have questions, please ask. Okay, now we go back. So again, because you only have 1 out of the 3 principles, you cannot win the game. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next position. We're going to move on to something a little bit more complicated. I will flip this one actually, just so that you can see it from the right side. Hold on. Let's make it black's orientation, right? There we go. Okay, so black's going up back this way. Okay, I want to say that... It's cool, man. Holy Roman Empire. I'm very happy if you guys learn. If you guys are learning, then it makes me happy. That's all that matters. Okay. Again, as the channel grows, as people, we get more people, I know that people will, start donating eventually. So perfectly fine. Don't have to donate. That's why we do this, right? So I'm just glad that you're learning, and that obviously enjoy the school thing with your friends. I really enjoyed school events and stuff like that. With the school team, it's almost so much fun, right? Because you're on the bus, you're doing naughty crap, right? I mean, just really enjoy it. Okay. Okay, cool. So here we have a situation. Okay? Now let's first take in consideration the three principles. Step 1. The king is not in front of the pawn. Okay? The king needs to be here and to be in front of the pawn. Step 2. The king is not on the third rank. Okay? Okay? Very important. Thank you guys so much. Biological, Saeed, TZ. Thanks guys for the follow. Welcome to the show. And then last but not least, if it is black to play here, you do have opposition. So you only have one rule. You have opposition here. Okay. But you don't have your king in front of the pawn, and you do not have your king on the third rank. This being black, of course. Okay. So you only have one rule. So you cannot actually win. No matter who it is to move here. Okay, you can't actually win. So if it is black to play, if black played here, let's say here, let's say here, let's say here. And again, you would not have opposition. Even though your king is in front of the pawn, you would not have opposition, and your king would not be on the third rank. Okay? Hey, Harry. What's up, man? Now, what if it's white to play, though? Gets more interesting if it's white to play, right? So what white does is white goes to this square where you cannot keep the distant opposition. So white goes king d1. Sneaky, right? Because now if you come forward, we again have this situation where I can just keep the opposition. And you can never get the opposition, and now you can never get your king in front of the pawn again. Okay. And now if you try and keep the opposition as black by playing king here, then he plays king here to c1. Why? Because now again you cannot continue keeping the opposition because your king cannot go onto the square. If the pawn was here, naturally you'd be winning, would be perfectly fine. But your king is not in front of the pawn, and that is the big issue. Okay, so now again, if you go forward, he just takes the opposition. And we have the same situation where your king can now never get in front of your pawn anymore. Okay. And if you try something else, like if you go here, he just goes here. If you try, let's say here, he just goes here and takes diagonal opposition. Because he will keep the opposition. If you go here, he goes here. If you go here, he goes here. And then you just lose the pawn anyway. Okay. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Instalock. Okay. So, yeah, but I mean, endgames don't have to be super complicated, Instalock. It really doesn't have to be. You just need to understand, first of all, with king and pawn endgames, you need to understand the three principles. Okay? Again, king in front of the pawn, opposition, and king on the third or sixth rank, depending on which color you obviously are. Okay? If you have two of those three principles, you can win. If you don't have two, you can't win. Okay. Now this of course does not count for side pawns, okay? The A file and the H file pawns, this does not count for. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the starting position. So here again, the point of this position was just to show that you don't have your king in front of the pawn, my bad, and you do not have your king on the third rank here. In other words, you cannot win. That's it. You only have one of the principles required to win. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next one. Show you another example. Here we have a really nice example as well. So here it is white to play. Okay, the king is still quite far away. White's king is still far away. What is objective number 1? Turkey Farm, you can answer this one. What's objective number 1 with king and pawn versus king? I'm waiting for my answer there, Turkey Farm, because you now know the answer. What is objective number 1 that we need to do if we want to win a king and pawn versus king endgame? See? I'm trying to engage you guys. Come on. Hey, Dre. Aw, thank you so much, buddy. There you go, Turkey Farm. You got it, man. You put your king... Thank you so much, Dre. There we go. Now we have the bar has started, right? So now we're on that $10 marker. So let's get to that $50 eventually, right? Get to that $50 eventually, and then we can do a little dance for you guys. Thank you so much for the donation. Yes, okay, so king in front of the pawn. So give me a move for white now. Simple go, that is not a good idea, no. So what's the move for white? Oh, it could be a bit of a delay just because of the lag I had a little bit earlier. Okay. Again, Dre, thank you so much for the donation, buddy. Again, every little bit helps, to get to that goal so we can sort out the internet. We can do that, Harry. I'm sure I can set it up to accept cryptocurrency as well. Okay, so Turkey says King D2. Okay. Railbird is clever here. Ooh, okay. David also says no, King C2. Okay, but first let's show why King D2 doesn't work. Okay, so Turkey, I'm gonna show you why King D2 doesn't work. Yes, David, good job. King C2, good move. Okay, so yes, we had two options. Okay, King D2 doesn't work. This is the reason why. He takes opposition. Now again, King is not in front of the pawn. King is not on the 6th rank, and of course we don't have opposition. So now you're in trouble. Now if I play here, he takes opposition, and again you cannot win because you have only one of the principles. You see, exactly, it doesn't work. King D2 does not work. It's sneaky, right? It's sneaky because you have to watch out for those oppositions. You have to be so careful of opposition. So King D2 doesn't actually work. Okay, because of the problem, because your king is not in front of the pawn, and now you can't go to this square. So if he goes here, now of course you cannot go here to keep the opposition. Yes, distant opposition is a sneaky one. Virtual opposition is even worse. Okay, it's much harder to figure out. So that's why everybody was clamoring for King C2. Why? Because we can go this way around to get in front of the pawn. Okay. Now if he goes here, we go king here. If he goes, let's say here, we just go forward. You see? Now here, we take opposition. Here, we just go up. So let's say he goes here, we go here. If he goes here, we go here. He goes here, we go here. So now we're just charging up the board here. Here, now our king, by the way, is already on the 6th rank as well, and it's in front of the pawn. Okay? Doesn't matter. Again, even if you don't have your king. Okay, let me just show it to him. So king d2, king here, king e3. It doesn't matter because you cannot keep the opposition. Remember the previous position when we looked at it. I'm going to go back to the previous position, right? Remember the previous position. Okay, is that you cannot go onto your own pawn, and that's the problem with the idea. So we have the same idea here, where now you cannot go in front of your pawn because he takes opposition, and you can't keep the opposition because your pawn is in the way of your king getting to c3 now. Now if you go forward, he takes opposition. If you go forward, he takes opposition. And you only have one rule. You only have one of the principles, and this is the problem. So that's why we run away this way, so that the king cannot get any oppositions anywhere. King comes here, we go here, and now it doesn't really matter because we just take opposition. Sorry. We just take the opposition. Now the king is in front of the pawn, and we have opposition. Two of the principles we have obtained. He goes king here, and we go past. He goes here, we go here. Okay. If he goes, like, let's say king here, we could even just go here. If he goes here, we play pawn, because now the king can obviously not get here. Okay. So sometimes we have to be a little bit careful where the king can take opposition against us. Okay. It only matters if our king is not in front of the pawn. If our king is in front of the pawn, okay, then it wouldn't matter. So let me show you an example of how it could be okay. Let me just show you. Let's say here, 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 here. If the pawn was, let's say, on c2 still, it would be okay because the king would be in front of the pawn. Because then if we went here, he'd take opposition. We could push the pawn to get opposition back. Yes. Yes. Very good, Turkey Farm. Very good. Yes. So sometimes we just have to be a bit clever about running around to avoid the opponent's king being able to get any type of opposition as well. Okay, excellent. Now, again, like I said, they get a little bit more complicated, right? You know, it doesn't stay super easy the whole time. They get a little bit more complicated. We began really simple with just showing you opposition, but it's important to know why opposition is extremely important. And this is just with one pawn. Opposition is important in many endgames, even with pieces on the board with endgames still. Opposition can be very beautiful. Okay, so now we're going to move on to position number 12, and we show you a rook pawn. Okay, so any pawn that is on the rook files, A or H, is mostly a draw. The only way you can win with king and pawn versus king if it's an H or A pawn is if you can take control with your king. You need to be able to have your king on either this square, this square, this square, or this square, depending on which color you are, of course. Okay. And the reason it's a draw is because you cannot kick the king out. So let's say we go here, we take opposition. Great. Right? But now if he goes here, we take opposition. He goes here, we cannot go king off the board, unfortunately. Yes, it's already number 12, the Yellow Dragoon. That's why I say, I mean, you know, we get through these really quickly, which is nice. So 897. That's an interesting number. I haven't really decided yet on how many puzzles yet. The first chapter I have here is 24 puzzles. 24 of them to kick us off. We probably won't get through to all 24 because I only do an hour. So I'll be doing an hour I'll do it at least twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. So we continuously build on this. And I'll put this video on YouTube as well, and it will be available on Twitch as well. I'll cut it so that it's only the endgame part, okay? Yeah, exactly. So here there is no way to obviously, you know, kick the king out. We can't, there's only 2 key squares and not 3. So, exactly, we have to control these 2 squares, so our king needs to be here to support it. The Yellow Dragoon, this is just for the study, just for this specific study. Of course it's going to increase, naturally. There's thousands of them. Yeah, you get that donation train going there, Dre. Again, thanks a lot, man. I really do appreciate it. Okay. So again, there's no way to kick this king out of here. If we push the pawn, the king just stays here, and there's no way for us to obviously kick out the king. Okay. Ponderius, thanks for the follow, Ponderius. Welcome to the show, guys. So that's a simple draw. Okay. So there's just no way to kick out the king from in front of the pawn. I will do, Edman. I will do. You know I will, guys. Maximus as well. Thank you for the follow, guys. I really do appreciate it. Okay, now position number 13, we're going to look at an option of where we actually can win. So remember, this is the queening square for the pawn. So if we can occupy this square with our king, we can win the game. Okay? So if it's white to play, white can win. Goes king here, and of course, now you can't catch the pawn. Nice and easy, runs all the way. If you try and go here, I push, you go here, I can push, you go here, I go king here. And my king defends the square for the king, the pawn to promote. Okay? Perfect. So as long as we can get to this square on b7, we definitely can win. Peter Swindler. I love that name. That's a very clever name. Why do I know this name, Peter Swindler? Are you from chess.com or something, maybe? I feel like I've seen this name before somewhere. Welcome to the show anyway, Peter Swindler. Thank you so much for the follow. Thanks for all the follows today, right, guys? I really do appreciate it. If you don't know how to follow the channel, and you're watching from Lead Chess, again, I point out that you can click on the little text at the bottom of the video on Lead Chess that says follow Chess Doctors on Twitch. And that'll take you to the Twitch page where the video is currently, and you can follow from there. If you don't have a Twitch account, all you need is an email and a password, and you can create a Twitch account. It's great to have because on Twitch you can watch all kinds of cool streams, games, lots of chess streamers obviously as well, etc., etc. So it's totally worth it to have a Twitch account. Twitch account. Okay, so here was easy for us to obviously just get our king here and shovel the pawn up the board. Now watch if I change it and I make it black to play in this position instead of white. Okay, so here we have the exact same puzzle except it's black to play. What black does is he traps your king in. He takes the opposition. Did I spell it wrong? Oh, sorry. I probably just didn't check the typing when I put it in. I'll fix it later. We'll fix it later. Who cares? It's fine. So here he traps your king. And what happens is that you can never get your king to this square. Look at this. You never get your king to this square, right? So like, let's say he plays here, he stays here and keeps control over the square, which means your king can never get there. Let's say he pushes here, he goes here, here, here. Even if you go here, he stalemates you in front of your own pawn. It's a cute little position where black actually stalemates you, not you stalemating him. So black just hems your king into the corner and says, ha ha, you can't go anywhere. So now you're stuck, you can't get out, and your pawn cannot move either. Okay, so this is the typical situation of how black can draw this endgame if you already have your king on this file here. Yeah, there we go. I'll take typing lessons. Yeah, where's the grammar police? You know what? The Yellow Dragoon, my mod over there he'll ban the grammar police. We'll kick the grammar police out of here, baby. You. Okay. So again, white here is unable to take control of that square with his king. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a little bit more of a complicated variation thereof. Okay. Now look at the next variation. Yeah, that would be counted, right? Well, White Dragoon, White Dancing Rockstar. I agree with you. Black should then win that one, right? Because he stalemated the other guy. So that's a victory in my book, man. So here we have a curious situation. Okay? First we have the question. This is the square that we obviously need to occupy as white. So if it's white to play, white will need 1, 2, 3 squares to occupy this piece, the square, right? Whereas black would need 1, 2, 3, 4 to do it, or at least 1, 2, 3 to defend the square. Okay. So if it's white to play, it's again a very easy win because white can just get to the square. Nothing you can do about it. And now we just shovel the pawn down there. We have the protection. Okay. Easy position, right? So again, we just have to do the counting, right? There, we need 1, 2, 3. He needs 1, 2, 3. But we move first. So we get there first. Perfect. So we can control the square. But again, if we make it black to play in this position, we go to position number 16, and we make it black to move, it's a big difference now. Now we still know, 3 moves, and black needs 3 moves to cover this square. But if it's black to move first, he's going to be able to cover the square. So black goes here, you go here, you go here, I go here, and I go here. And now your king cannot go here anymore because black is defending the square. Now again, like let's say if you go here, he just takes the opposition, and there's no way for you to get him to come out. We have the same situation where he just stays there, and there's nothing you can do. If you come out, he goes in front of the pawn, and now you can never get your king in front of the pawn again. So you cannot kick him out of these 2 squares. And of course, if you go here, he just keeps you pinned in there because you just stalemate yourself. Your king can't get out anymore. So either your king can't get out and he gets stalemated, or your king cannot force his king out of the corner. Okay. So in general, the rules are simple. All you need to know with a rook pawn is that if you cannot take control over the queening square, then you can't win. That's it. Simple as that. Okay, now we get to now we start getting to the bit more complicated stuff. Okay, now you know the basics. You know about opposition. You know about the 3 principles required to win a king and pawn versus king endgame. And you also understand a little bit more about how the opposition affects things when your king is not in front of the pawn, when your king is not in the 6th rank, and so on and so forth. Now we start introducing some tricky positions. So here we have white has 2 pawns, but the king is in the corner. And this creates a little bit of a tricky situation. Because with white to play, you cannot go here or here because it's stalemate. Okay? King has no squares to go to, right? So you can't put your king forward. Okay? You can't play pawn here because he just takes it and then takes this one. Photon! What's up, man? So suddenly you have this question of, okay, what the hell do I do now? I have 2 pawns, but, you know, I have to be careful not to stalemate or to draw this, right? Yeah, so we obviously have to sack a pawn. But thank you, Harikush. Thank you so much for the follow there, buddy. Okay? So we have to sacrifice one of the pawns. But we know already, right, that the rook pawns are the worst pawns to have. So we're not going to use that pawn to win the game. That is our sacrificial turkey lamb here. You do the loop. I like it. That's a good way of looking at a turkey farm. You do the loop. Okay, so this is our winning pawn, of course, right? Okay. So this pawn is going to be the sacrifice. Yes, so white dancing, you understand the idea. So yeah, we can either play here or here, give him, and then sack the pawn. Then we end up in a endgame where we have a king on this 3rd or 6th rank. And of course, we either have opposition or we have the king in front of the pawn. Now, we won't have the king in front of the pawn. Okay? Another follow. Ectopy. Thank you so much for the follow, Ectopy. Thanks, guys. I really do appreciate all the follows, guys. It's really, really awesome to have so many followers. So here, we go king f5, right? He goes here. We queen the pawn. He takes it. And now we go forward. Now, remember the rules here. He goes here. We already have the king here. We don't have opposition, but we don't need it because the king is already on the 6th rank. So we just push the pawn. And now, of course, the king has to come out from in front of the pawn. Then we play here. And, of course, we just queen. It's actually a quick mate because he can't run. You can chase him back. Now he has to go here and mate. Okay, so that's the easy, quick way to win. Whereas if we went king h5, we would still win, but it's slower. Because the king now, we do the same thing. We take opposition, right? So we take the opposition. But now, the difference is that we still have to mate him on this side of the board. Okay, so he still has a lot of running space. It's going to take us a couple of extra moves to actually win. Cypress Ave, what's up, man? Thanks for the follow, Cypress Ave. Thank you so much. You guys are so kind. I love all the follows today. You guys have been on fire today. On freaking fire, man. Okay, perfect. So, again, when we sit with a situation... Hey, the Ancient Gamer, I love it. Okay. So, when we look at the situation, we just have to realize that we can't go forward because of stalemate, right? And then we know that we have to give up one of the pawns. And you always want to give up the H pawn or the A pawn because they are crap, okay? Okay, Cypress Avenue. Yeah. Oh, cool. In Belfast? Wait, where's Belfast? Ooh, now I gotta think. Where's Belfast? Hungary? No. Hungary? Is it? I can't. Okay, there's a few places because there's a Belfast in South Africa as well. So, yeah. So I guess it could be German, it could be Dutch, it could be quite a few places, yeah. David Saunders says, yeah, I'm going to make you suffer, yo. Okay, so that one wasn't so tough. Okay, but we have to be careful. Hey, Peter Swindler in the house. Northern Ireland. Oh, okay, yeah, Belfast is in Northern Ireland as well. But I'm sure there's a lot of Belfast, right? Hey, Logica. What's up? You guys are also... No, but there's a Belfast in South Africa as well. That's why I say I know of a few Belfasts. So that's why I asked the question. You can check it out. There's a Belfast in South Africa as well. I actually grew up near there. In Mpumalanga is the area called, yeah. Exactly. You see, they're all over the world, so the hell with you guys. Okay, so this one wasn't so tough, but again, when you have a H pawn or A pawn, you use that one to sacrifice. Okay. Now the next one is a bit more tricky. Okay, so there's not. Okay, so yep. My great grand from Granddad from there. Oh, cool. Okay, so here we have the next situation. Okay, and we have the same problem here. We have two pawns, but we have to be careful with stalemate ideas. Okay, so look at the obvious, right? So we go forward with the king. Okay, let's make the obvious move. Okay, because we can't play here, he just takes it. And then again, of course, he'll just be able to win the pawn. Okay? So that doesn't work. We can't play here because, of course, he just takes a pawn and he takes a pawn. Okay. Simple. So the only logical move here is to play king here, right? But now after king d8, we have to be exceptionally careful. Because we can't go here at stalemate. Okay? Stalemate. Oops. Cringy emo salad. Love the name, buddy. Thanks for the follow. No, b6 doesn't work either. It's still stalemate. Oops. Stalemate. Oh, so you all want to stalemate and blunder, huh? You all want to blunder, huh, boys? Careful, boys. Careful. You guys are not thinking about this. Okay? So suddenly we realize the problem is that we can't just play king d6 or whatever. So we have to sacrifice one of the pawns. And the point is that we need to get to a position where we have the king on the 6th rank, okay, and or opposition, and or king in front of the pawn. Okay, white dancing. Okay, cool. Yeah. So, no, Photon, it's not a draw. It's not a draw at all, okay? What we want to do is we want to put our king on d5 here, let him take the pawn, let him have it, okay? After he takes it, he now has opposition. But remember what I said about opposition. If you can move your pawn and get the opposition back, then that's great too. Now when you play b6, the king can't go here, right? And now you have opposition. Beautiful, right? The b pawn is actually the one that wins, Stephen. The b pawn is the one that wins. Now if he goes here, we take opposition. And now we have our king on the 6th rank. We have opposition. We know we can win. Even if we didn't have opposition, it wouldn't have mattered either because, of course, our king is already on the 6th rank and the pawn is on the 6th rank already as well. So now if he goes here, of course, we just play here. Same thing, right? King here, here. And, of course, we again have that same very quick mate where we just push him back. A very, very beautiful little puzzle, right? But it just shows you the idea again, okay? So we have to sometimes be a bit clever about looking at the rules, at the principles, right? At getting the king in front of the pawn, getting the king to the 6th rank, and getting, opposition. So we need to use these three in different ways. Here we can't have the king in front of the pawn anymore, but we can get the opposition, and we can get the king to the 6th rank. Very important, because we only need two of these principles to be able to win the king and pawn endgame. So a very beautiful little puzzle, yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly, David. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. So b6 in the first move, he just plays here, of course. And then, again, there's no way for you to save your pawn. Exactly, David Saunders. Exactly. So, that's why the only move is king here. And after this, the only move is king d5. It's the only move that helps us win this game. Because now, of course, if he tries anything like, let's say here, we can just queen. He has to take it. And of course, we can just take the opposition if we want to, or we can play here. Doesn't really matter because we have the same situation where the king needs to come out. Okay. Yes, Photon, what's up? Ask your question, sir. Ask your question. Ask away. I'm all ears, my friend. Okay. Have you answered your own question there? It's always good when you can answer your own question as well. Good job. Good job. Okay, so a beautiful little puzzle just to show you another example of stalemate tricks and how we can sacrifice, in most of the cases, the front pawn is going to be the sacrificed, which you'll notice as well from the previous position. Cypress, you can just check out my Lichess profile. It's also my coaching profile. On Lichess, I am called Loner Druid. Okay, so you can just check it out. Okay. So just check out Loner Druid on Lichess, and then you can check out my Venoms. Sup, man? Thanks for the follow, Venoms. Welcome to the show again. If you guys have questions, please ask. I am here to answer your questions. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next puzzle now. Okay, again, they keep on getting more complicated. Okay. So the next one, we look at what happens if you have a double pawn. Yeah, the Yellow Dragoon. It's already almost 5 a.m. here. It's 5 a.m. here, my friend. Peace out. Let me just flip this one for you guys to make it black, so we can look at it from black side. Here we go. Okay, so black's pawn's going up. Of course, I play StarCraft 2, the Yellow Dragoon. Well, Logica, you have been here for a while now, so I think you can take a break from the chess, right? And then go do the Dota 2, man. I will completely understand, okay? I will completely understand. So don't feel bad about it. Yeah, I love Dota as well. So, again, I play StarCraft 2, I play Dota. I don't really play much else, to be honest. And I play chess, of course. And Shogi and other board games, yeah. What level? I got top plat in Wings of Liberty. Okay, cool. That's cool. Cool, what lep? Is it what leopard? Let me just see the whole name. Oh, what leopard? Cool. No, David Saunders, I've been awake for a while, David Saunders. I was doing, obviously, I did the 24-hour stream, right? And then I've been streaming since 12:30. David Saunders. It's my new. Yeah, of course I follow cricket, Logica. So David Saunders, my new streaming hours are basically between 12 a.m. Between midnight and 8 a.m. So yeah. You play Protoss? I'm a Zerg guy. I can't help myself. I like the aliens, right? I'm an alien. Okay, so here we have a situation where we have a double pawn. Now, a double pawn doesn't have to be hard at all. Okay. All you do with a double pawn is, okay, like imagine if this pawn wasn't here, right? If the pawn on f6 wasn't here, right, it would be a draw, right? Because the king is not in front of the pawn. You don't have a position, you have nothing. Edman, I will be playing a little bit later. As soon as we're done, this is going to be the last puzzle for the endgame lesson. Then I'm going to do some middle game stuff for you guys. Okay? And then at 6 a.m. or an hour from now, I will be playing against viewers as well. Okay, Edman. So I will be doing that, Edman. I will be doing that. David Saunders, weren't you following already, David Saunders? Didn't you even donate at some point? Oh, maybe you were still following when it was. No, I'm confused. Juliet Thief, Jewel Thief. No, lovely name as well. Thanks for the follows, guys. You're a Clink Stealer. Ah, the Yellow Dragoon, you evil person. You evil person. Yeah, so it's a simple win, right? Because all you do is you get your pawn all the way to here, and before it's stalemate, you just use your extra pawn to force the king out. So let me show you an example, right? Let's say he goes here, here, he takes opposition. Now again, if this pawn wasn't here, it would be a draw, right? So here, here, there, 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 and here. This is usually the problem. Yeah, exactly, David Saunders. But you know what happened, David Saunders, is we changed the channel name. So I think if you change the channel name, maybe it messes with stuff. Then you have to follow again. Yeah, Edman, it's 5 a.m. here as well. I haven't slept either, my friend. Can someone just spell my Lichess account for everybody? It's Loner Druid. It's underneath my name as well here. Saeed TZ. It's not Dr. Loner Druid, but it's just Loner Druid. Okay. So just look down here for the spelling. Just remove the DR, obviously, from the spelling. There you go. Thank you, what, Leborg. Thank you so much. And now, of course, usually if we had to go king here, it would be a draw, right? But because we have the extra pawn, we can use a tempo move. Okay, so we can just use boop, and now the king has to come out and we promote the pawn. Okay, so that's how you win with the king and double pawns. Okay, all you do is you push your front pawn as far forward as possible, and just before you have that typical stalemate situation, okay, then you just play your extra pawn that you have. Of course you can, the Yellow Dragoon. You are more... Dude, I'll even give you a place to stay, bro. For free, no problem. You can come visit Cape Town and you'll love it here. So did I as well, the banker. The banker, dude, I streamed the whole 24 hours of the marathon. I streamed the whole 24 hours as well. So I know how to stay awake as well, friend. Don't worry. Don't worry. And by the way, when I'm done here in the next 3 hours, then I will sleep for 4 hours. I will stream for 6 hours. I will have 2 hours off, and then I'll do another 12-hour stream as well. So yeah, very, very, very busy right now as well. Mar, 4 hours is nothing. The Beluga Chess, love it. You know, Beluga is a really nice sushi restaurant here in Cape Town. Thanks for checking out the stream, the Beluga, and thanks for the follow. You guys have been really, really great. I love you guys. Love you guys. So yeah, so again, when we have the double pawn, boys and girls, all you do is you get the front pawn as far up the board as possible, and before you have that situation where it's stalemate, like this example here, before we get to the stalemate where usually you would have to play king here or lose the pawn and it would be a draw if you didn't have this pawn, now you just use your pawn to make a little tempo. Because now the king has to move here and you obviously get forward, and of course there's no way for him to stop you from promoting the pawn. Okay, now we're going to this is our last one. Okay, this is going to be the last one for the day. I will continue from this exact position, by the way. Okay, and as I finish these studies, I will make the studies available for you guys as well if you want them, if you need them or whatever. Okay, so these studies will be available on the Chess Doctor's account. You know, basically when I finish streaming, I will make the studies available to you guys as well. But of course the video will be on Twitch for you guys to watch again. I'll make it a highlight. So if anybody, wants to go and recap this, or you want to tell your friends that there's a cool video on Endgames if they want to learn, then they can come and watch the videos again on Twitch, and we'll also put it on YouTube as well. Okay.